We're gonna start off with our first topic. This is um, digital comics versus actual comics, like paperbacks. I guess
What
just actual comics.
What do you mean, actual comics?
Well, I say actual because, like I said, you got to feel it in your hand, you got to smell it, you got to feel it. That's the actual comic.
Gotta accidentally crinkle it.
Compared to the digital ones.
Yeah, I mean,
What side are y'all on?
I am for real tangible comics. That's what I grew up on. That's what I think still holds value.
Okay. Yeah, and Joe, come on with your opening statement. What side are you on?
I'm going with digital because like I do own a shitload of physical comics, but they take up a lot of space. And once you buy, 100 at a time, you gotta, sleeve them all. You gotta put the cardboard back. It's a whole process. It's a whole day's worth of work to own these comics.
Yeah, but that's the fun of it. That is so much fun.
It is fun. I will say that going to a store and like sifting through comics, finding variant covers are my favorite thing. Like if I see a variant cover, even if it's for a comic I won't read, I have to buy it. Like I just have to buy it. What was that?
Any specific types of variants or?
Not really like specifically, but I love the Flash. So like whenever I see like cool variants for that, I usually try to get those. Anything with like where it's like crossover stuff, like I usually try to grab those. But
like Spawn appearing on all the different Image titles.
So like I have it's a Transformers one, but it's Marty McFly on the cover with the DeLorean.
That's amazing.
Which is like I love Back to the Future and I love Transformers. So like when I seen that, I was like, this is a match made in heaven. Like they're expensive for the variant covers, but totally worth it.
So I mean that kind of goes to my point though of physical comics, because you get that variant cover that is by that artist. Like, yeah, you can look at that online. You can look at a whole gallery of variant covers online. You can go right click and save them to your computer if you want and create a slideshow like I got going on behind me. But to take that to that artist that drew it and get it signed, you could take an iPad screen and get your artist to sign it, but
that would be wild.
Can you sign my JPEG, please?
Sign my JPEG. You just print off the image and have them sign it. Oh, that would be like, I feel like that would be the most disrespectful thing to do to a comic book artist is print off a comic cover and have them autograph that.
Yeah,
that'd be wild. He's a paper cut trying to do it.
I kind of want to see someone do it now. Next time at Nickel City, print off my comic book cover and bring it up to me.
All right, I
was going to say, how would you feel if somebody did that to you, though? Like if somebody actually printed off your comic instead of giving you the actual comic to sign?
So
would you be offended, or would you just be like, yeah, I get it?
I work in retail, and I am so used to some of the most wildest crap just happening to me that I would be like, you know what? Sure. I just start laughing. I just sure I'm gonna sign this because this, and I'm gonna take a picture with you because this is probably like the best story of the day.
I'll definitely have to remember that for hopefully Nickel City Con happens again next year, or if I run into you at another one.
I hope so. I mean, there's a few coming up that might be fun. The one I'm taking part in here's a plug. In March of next year, right here in Syracuse, he's already announced that he's going to have 7 Power Rangers, like 4 wrestlers.
What's the name of this one?
It's Syracuse Collectors Con.
Okay. Oh,
do you know what wrestlers he has?
What was that?
Do you know the wrestlers he has on there?
So far he's got Demolition, Medusa, and I think he's still announcing 2 more.
I'm not
older, but
Hey, we were supposed to have Sting this year until he jumped off the fucking ladder and hurt himself.
I watched
first into the table.
I watched him jump off that ladder, and I'm like, yeah, he ain't gonna be there that weekend.
No, when I seen that he got, so I don't watch AEW, but I like seen him, like I seen the video of it, and then I seen them immediately announce that day on Nickel City Con that they were like there's things not coming anymore. I was like, oh man, he actually got hurt. I thought he was just faking it.
Yeah,
No. It was like 28 stitches or something. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I saw the way he landed, because I watched a couple different angles of it. And I'm like, yeah, that don't look good.
Each time was like,
yeah, that was
right on the chin
bad.
each time.
But yeah, no, it's exciting. Syracuse doesn't have a whole lot of things. Later on this year at Retro Game Con, we're gonna have Jake the Snake Roberts at that show as well. So
I'll be excited to see him.
Yeah, that's a fun show as well. It's all like old video games and stuff like that. So old and new. But
I never really venture out to Syracuse. I'm gonna have to look that up and probably have to make a trip.
So sometimes it's cool to come here. Sometimes it's not.
So we go. Me and my wife go by there once in a while because she her family has a place out in Cooperstown. So it's like kind of like, I mean, it's basically on the way to Cooperstown from here.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, you just have to go up a little north, I guess, but
yeah.
But yeah, there's also lots of comic book shops down there too. So
yeah,
you can go and get yourself some physical copies.
All right, yeah. Let's get back to this. So I'm going. So I will have to say, digital has perks as far as, so I just got with Xbox Game Pass, plug an Xbox here, but they give you a free membership to DC Infinite, which I didn't know what DC Infinite was at first, but it's like their version of comics. So
I'm writing that down.
Yeah, you get a 3-month subscription for like having Game Pass. So
okay.
I downloaded it and I never really got to like, so my thing is when I buy physical comics, I bag them and I never open them. So like I have the entire series of, I think it's Web of Spider-Man, and I've never read a single one because like I bagged them immediately when I bought them and I'm like, gosh, shit, now I don't want to open them. But so like I really love the Flash and I never read Flashpoint before. So I know there's a few different versions of it. So I started reading that because of DC Infinite, me having the ability to read all these comic books that are, you know, kind of like hard to find or would be expensive for me to purchase all those. But even like Comixology and Marvel Unlimited, like those are pretty decent for how much they are and how much content you get access to. I will say that it is nice when it comes to that. When you're not, you know, missing an issue and then you're like, fuck, I can't read it because I'm missing 1 out of 200.
That's actually why okay. So I will say that as a drawback of physical issues is you have to rely on your shop pulling those issues and you have to trust that they're going to get them. And yeah, sometimes they don't do that. I actually had that problem where I was collecting Captain Marvel and I was reading it and I was really interested into it. And we got to a point where I was missing 9, 10, 11, and 12, but I had 8 and I had 13, 14, 15, and I couldn't read a whole like section of a story because I couldn't do it, but I still prefer to read it physically. One thing I've decided that as a comic book collector is, what am I collecting for either cover value and what am I collecting to read? If I'm collecting something just to read, chances are I may not buy the physical issues. I may wait for the graphic novel to come out because, let's face it, those are fairly worthless once they're bought, used, and abused. Most graphic novels don't hold value, whereas the individual issues do. The plus side of collecting the issues is you have them. If you take care of them, you can even still read them. You can crack them open, read them. But the good thing is if you want to get rid of them, you can sell them.
Yeah.
Whereas, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, why do you think that individual issues are worth more than the collections that they build? Because like me personally, I would rather buy the, like Walking Dead, for example. Like I preferred to just buy the compendiums of it instead of having all the individual issues, which I would think would be worth more. But
yeah, it's print runs. It's print runs. The compendiums had for the Walking Dead had a pretty big print run. So much so, in fact, that they had a hard time selling them to stores. And are you familiar with Ollie's, the store?
Yep.
I bought all 4 compendiums of The Walking Dead at Ollie's for $10 a piece. And
Ollie's is great for comics, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. So I bought them all. It for $40, and that's less than the cost, the price tag of one of them, like as far as like a retail value.
Yeah.
So at some point I got to get to reading those too, and that's an undertaking. But one thing I have also done in the past is where I will collect the physical comic, and I want it because I either want to get it signed by the creator, writer, or whatever. And I don't want to open it back up again. So I will take it, and I will take it and I will store it. When I'm laying in bed, I will just read it on my phone.
Yeah.
Knowing full well that I have the physical copy tucked away safely. Yep.
So, I do like that. I do like that aspect of it.
Yeah. So just quick story here. So at the last Nickel City Con, so not the one that just happened, but the last one, they had an artist there that did the Flash.
Okay.
And I took I like getting Funko signed by artists. So I took a Flash Funko and asked him to sign it. And he like startled me for a second. Like I feel like all comic book artists are hilarious because like they'll catch you off guard out of nowhere. Like Ken Lashley got me a few times. Jim Starlin's hilarious. But like I can't even remember the guy's name, but I was like, hey, is there any way like you'd be willing to sign this Flash Funko? And he was like, I didn't fucking design that. And he like the way that he said it, I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like I know you're like a Flash artist and I love the Flash. So I like getting Funko signed. He's like, I'm just kidding. And I was like, holy shit. Like the way that he said it, I was like, my heart was racing. I was like, oh my God. But yeah, I love getting like comic books and stuff signed by the comic artists because they're like I've never had a bad experience with them. They're all great. Jim Starlin, like I said, is hilarious. He put a Power Stone into my pocket when I got my comic signed by him, and he just like randomly like slipped it in my pocket, and he's like, "You keep that safe." And it was the day the Endgame came out, and it was just so random. I was just like, "All right, man."
A lot of the guys that have been in the industry for a while that are especially known to be really personable all have really good stories and really good interactions. I've met other artists. Matter of fact, more recently, I've met artists that you don't have as nearly as good at interaction. Matter of fact, the interaction turned weird. I met an artist that found out I was a fan of her ex, who was also an artist, and that conversation got really weird, really quick. And it spiraled out of control into talking about like edibles and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay. And then she just kind of left, and then came back and gave my neighbor a whole bunch of like free stuff, and then left again, and I'm like, oh, okay. It's really weird, and that actually was at Nickel City, but
someone gave oh god, what the hell's his name? The guy that was there from Fantastic Beasts. I can't remember his name. He's like shorter. He has the curly hair.
Yeah, I can't think of his name either.
God, it's gonna bother me. I have to look it up really quick. But I was in line for him, and a guy in front of me handed him a edible, and this man was so hyped. It was so funny.
It's funny.
Oh my god, where's Dan Fogler?
Oh, okay,
Yeah, but it was just so funny because he put it in his hand, and then he like whispered to him, and Dan was just like drumming like crazy on the table. He's like, hell yeah, he's like going off. I'm like, this is hilarious.
So while we're on the topic of comics and everything, how do you guys feel about taking comics to celebrities who only play certain characters, or their relationship to the comic is they play a character that appears in the comic, and having them sign it? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
So like, for example,
okay, so you're saying like if I have a Fantastic Four comic and I'm getting it signed by I forget his
Chris
name,
Evans.
the guy that played Johnny Storm.
Yeah, Chris Evans.
Yeah, Chris Evans. I'm gonna think of his name for a second. Like Chris Evans, like that.
Yeah.
So I will say I have one. It's actually right there. It's a Flash issue signed by Grant Gustin.
Okay.
So I'm for it. I personally think that's cool.
Was it a specific issue, or was it just?
I'm not against it.
It was. So this sucks. I literally got graded and everything, and wrong camera. Got graded, stuck it on the wall, fell off the wall, and immediately shattered.
Oh no!
But yeah, so I got it
for the audio listeners. Like I said, it's all cracked up.
Yeah, it's cracked to shit. I'll post a picture of it. But yeah, the fucking this tag slides right out. It is shattered.
So is that Grant Gustin's likeness on the front of it though?
No, it's not.
Okay, I couldn't tell.
No, it's just a random Flash comic that I have signed by him.
Okay,
it's a variant cover, but yeah, it's not supposed to be him on the cover.
Because I saw some people take old Captain America comics and getting them signed by Chris Evans and stuff like that, and I'm like, man, that would have been a tough debate for me, because I'm like, Chris Evans has nothing to do with these.
Right.
I don't I know he plays Captain America, but I'd want him to sign my DVD. I don't know as I'd want him to sign an old Captain America comic or something. Maybe if it was a cover that featured because I know sometimes they'll do prints where it's the movie versions and the movie costumes. I'm like, maybe that would be cool, but I was seeing people taking old issues of Captain America, or just we're just using Chris Evans as an example, but old issues of Captain America and having him sign it, and I'm like, oh, that makes me hurt a little bit on the inside.
Is it because you would prefer something else get signed, or you just think it's disrespectful, or?
It's not that I find it disrespectful. I just find it say tomorrow Chris Evans does something super terrible that everyone wants to cancel him for, and now you have this legendary comic book signed by Chris Evans. It might be not worth a damn, whereas it was worth something prior to that. I don't know. To me, that's just it's interesting, because he had nothing to do with an old classic Captain America comic. But
I can see that. I mean, I also personally would prefer him to sign a Captain America shield, or a DVD.
All right. Speaking of Captain America shields, I did get to hold the 1970s Captain America shield, the one with the clear. Have you guys ever seen that?
I don't think
so.
I don't think I've seen that.
So in the 70s, there was these really crappy Marvel movies that came out, all in the same.
I remember those.
Same the Incredible Hulk show. That was probably the only thing that was popular and everything. Captain America had a motorcycle helmet as a mask, and he had this shield, and instead of the white stripe on there, it was clear. and he just drove a motorcycle around. They were terrible movies, but I met the actor and I handed him a few prints of his costume, and he let me hold the shield in return. It was awesome.
I'm going to pull this up on the screen just to make sure we're talking about the same disgusting shield here.
Yep, that's it.
Oh God.
I got to hold that thing.
That whole costume. I don't know about that.
Dude,
it looks very Evel Knievel-ish.
Yes, it does look
very
like Evil.
The actor is one of the nicest guys ever, though. His name's Reb Brown. Super nice dude. Just terrible movies. Very nostalgic. Like
those are. Well, I'm about to have y'all do. I'm about to have y'all do your closing statements for each side. So give me one more thing you got to say about your side before I pass judgment.
Okay. Physical comics. Tangible, readable. You can take them anywhere. You can get them signed. You can get them graded. They hold value. You can turn around and sell them. You can keep them. Either way, you can make them work for you.
Okay, I'm gonna go with even easier to transport digital copies. More accessible to accessing copies of comics. Larger and smaller print, depending on how you would like it.
Pinch to zoom.
Yeah, pinch to zoom. Oh man, some of them even have. I have seen there are some digital comics where you can like have like animations going on it while you're reading it, which is cool. Kind of like a holographic version.
Okay.
That's pretty much all I got though. That's kind of hard to argue digital.
Okay, I was gonna say I got my side, and I am going with physical copies. Not only can you make money off them, there's nothing like having the original. So I'm going with that one.
All right, perfect.
It's funny as for my background noises, I watch Law and Order. So I'm constantly hearing the gavel go dun dun.
Right. So and speaking of putting the hammer down,